jobs with no fiscal accountability. So Kathy Lux is running. Now she's running against Lillian Green. Lillian Green is a fine woman and has been a fine public servant for many years as a judge. She's never run anything or supervised any more than one employee, one court employee. She has not run an office of the size of this county recorder's office, which has over 100 employees. Granted, it really only needs about 50 employees, but somebody with management experience is going to need to come in to decide who are the performers there. I'll tell you, the county employees who I know who do their jobs, and we've seen this at the Board of Elections, are going to appreciate it when finally in our county doing your job gets rewarded with more than just having to do the work of the person next to you who isn't doing their job. And that's what Kathy Lux is going to be able to bring to the county recorder's office. There are a slew of offices that are up this year. I want to recognize, we've talked a little bit with Chuck, we have another candidate who's been peeking her head around the corner back there, Angie Bennett, who is running for the state school board for your area here as well. You may not know, but Virgil Brown Jr. is term limited and cannot run again. She's not running against him, but Angie has stepped forward to run. I want to welcome her here this evening as well. That makes my point. There are a whole slew of offices I could go down and give you the litany of, but I want to provide some time for questions, because you may have a particular race of interest you want to ask me about, or a question on the party itself.
Why was Peter Lawson Jones considered an easier mark than Tim Hagan?
I want to recognize former State Central Committeeman Charlie Byrne with a great question to start me off. I do wish we had had a candidate against Tim Hagan as well. The decision in terms of which slot to run in for Debbie Sutherland was Debbie Sutherland's, and once she announced that, we continued to try to recruit candidates to be running against Tim. I'll tell you, if only Peter were up this year, or if we did have candidates against both, that question would be moot. We'd know it's not really an issue. For Debbie Sutherland, it just appears the matchup was better in a number of respects. It's what Debbie wants to bring for this county. Peter is an intelligent guy, certainly, Harvard grad, a lawyer himself, and he's approachable. In fact, he seems to almost come close to us in many positions. But that's why he's so disappointing, in fact. Thank you, Bill. Is because there's not the follow-through. And I'll give you one example. Earlier this year, after the debacle of last year, where our commissioners imposed an unvoted sales tax increase on us, Commissioner Jones, he did not vote for it. You're exactly right. And Peter Lawson Jones came forward and said, because we don't have a deal yet, this was back in February, we don't have a location, we need to think about giving the money back. Well, Peter was informed at that time that he hadn't done his homework, which is pretty typical of Peter. And unfortunately, unlike a property tax or an income tax, where the actual taxpayer remits the monies to the government, in a sales tax, it's the store owner, not the taxpayer, in that sense, the consumer who remits it. You can't really refund the money in a sales tax in the same way. So not only can you not effectively give it back, but also he was instructed earlier this year in February but what you could do, Peter, is since you, Peter Lawson Jones, have expressed your support for the medical mart, you just didn't like this way of paying it, well, you could suspend the sales tax. And unfortunately, at the time he raised that, the deadline to suspend it had passed to have relief by April 1. But he could have still gotten something done to get it suspended by July 1. Well, he did nothing. And on July 2, Debbie Sutherland held a press conference to call him out on that he had done nothing. It's that continual rhetoric that we hear from Peter Lawson Jones, but a failure of leadership. It's time we need to demand more from our county commissioners. I can't make any apologies at all for the conduct of Tim Hagan or Jimmy Namora and say that they deserve any less to be beaten. I can only say this is the race that we're in, and it's one that we need to win. I'm going to take a sip while I wait for a hand on the next question. There's got to be at least one more.
I would like to say, if we have another event, you can announce. We would like to have Debbie Sutherland and Kathy Lux come and speak. So if we have another event, which we will, I assume in September possibly, we will definitely have them come.
And also, you'll hear more details on this, but our county picnic will be right nearby here in Highland Heights in September, on Saturday, September 13th. And we expect to have a whole lot of our candidates there, particularly our countywide candidates.
I was just going to say that I thought of another place for a headquarters. Hillary's at Cedar Center is empty, right? I mean, there was one.
There was? Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
she had one.
That's right. Where we're looking is either on Mayfield or at Cedar Center.
Yeah.
We probably won't have both, but we're going to look either on Mayfield or down there. And we have some sites scouted out in both. So, how are you?
Hey, Rob.
Good to see you.
I just want to say that Debbie is on the way and she's running a little late.
Debbie? She's on her way here? Oh, we may see her yet tonight.
Oh, I didn't know
See,
that.
hold a meeting and they will come.
Yes, apparently.
As you all are finding, this is absolutely fabulous turnout. I also want to recognize the Franciolis who have just celebrated a big anniversary. What was it, your third?
And he didn't have to take her anywhere either.
60 years. They, let's see, when you were first married, you were working on what, on the Eisenhower campaign, is that right?
No. It was Truman.
We'll start with Ike.
I didn't vote for him. He pretty good, not me.
Well, all the veterans voted for Truman.
At the time.
We hope all the veterans vote for McCain this time.
I hope so too.
Good to see you both here, and what a great example of what they continue to do in their ward, to have meetings, to get good attendance out there. It takes hard work to keep it going, and you all are a testament to the work of your clubs and your club leaders. I thought I saw a hand on this side.
Just, I know this isn't this district, but I think we all know him very well and wonder how Jim Tracus is campaign's going on.
That's another great race. I'll be brief on it because we are outside of the district, but who doesn't want to see Dennis Kucinich get beaten this year? I tell you, even Nancy Pelosi wants to see Dennis Kucinich get beaten. Dennis is going to again bring up articles of impeachment later this week, and you'll see Jim talking quite a bit about that. It's absolutely ridiculous. Right now, Dennis's re-elect. When we poll the number of, the percentage of people in the district who say they would want to re-elect him, it hovers just under 50%, which is terrible for an incumbent. But it's even worse when you consider that on the generic ballot, that's when we ask someone, if the election were today, would you vote for the Republican or the Democrat for Congress? No names, just would you vote for the Republican or the Democrat? The Democrats are kicking our tail 2-1 in that generic ballot. I mean, just Republican is still a bad word for whatever reason. We're working on rebranding our image. We need to get back to what being Republican is about. And Democrat carries this aura right now. It's got a good sense to it in the polls. Not, I'm sure, if the poll were taken in this room, but the generic Democrat is really whomping the generic Democrat or the generic Republican. Yet Dennis Kucinich has a re-elect of only 50%. When we tell people, just a brief bio, not anything about all the antics Dennis has been up to, not putting Jim Tracus on a pedestal. Basically, just a brief bio that says Dennis Kucinich has been your congressman for, you'll be going on 6 terms. Jim Tracus was a 4-term state legislator, etc. We just give the basic bio. It is a dead heat race. It's 48-46, so it's statistically a dead heat. Jim is slightly behind. But that is a very winnable race. Anybody who tells you Dennis Kucinich can't be beaten, let me tell you just the opposite is true. He can be beaten. This is the year we can beat him. It's going to take a lot of hard work, and Jim's going to have to raise a lot of money to do it, because the difference is Dennis Kucinich's name ID in the district right now is at about 98-99%. It's higher than President Bush's, if you can believe it. More people in that district know who Dennis Kucinich is. Jim Tracus is very low. He's going to have to get up and on TV and get his name out there. The way he's doing it now is by wearing out the shoe leather, knocking on doors, going to community meetings, meeting the people within that district, many of whom he already knows, a chunk of which he has already represented in the State House. So when you say Dennis Kucinich has 99% name ID, half the people, just under half, about 48% of the people in that district are going to stick with Dennis no matter what, for whatever reason. Another 48, 49, 47% of the people in that district are ready to vote for anybody new. Even Jim Tracus. We say that's our go. No, and we need them to know what a great candidate Jim Tracus is. And it's going to come down to fighting over just a very small percentage of votes.
We were on the recall committee to get rid of Dennis Kucinich for mayor, and we almost won. We needed 200 more votes, and he would have been out.
There's one person, actually 2 people, who can really help Jim. And one is Jim Petro. But the other, because Jim Petro carried that district the last time he ran statewide with 67% of the vote. Jim's the strongest vote getter in that 10th congressional district from Brooklyn, elected official out in Rocky River in the West Shore. But George Voinovich doesn't do half bad either. He runs about 60% in that district. If there's one person who can help Jim get this done, I think you'll see Senator Voinovich having something to say about Dennis Kucinich before it's all said and done. Because while we didn't